Hello. It's time for another session of $5 in the world. If you're new to the channel, $5 in the world is what I'm calling the book project I'm working on. My dad, Burdett Lee Gray was his name. Everyone called him Burr. He he was born in 1916 and he left this earth in 2017. So for quick math, he was 101 years old when he passed away. Uh, he had an amazing life, an American style life, a life of ups and downs, new beginnings, harsh endings, and start overs, whether it was businesses, education, marriages, um, child rearing, you name it. He ran the gamut of all kinds of experiences, all kinds of wins and losses. But for him, it was wins and learning. And all along the way, he had a phenomenal memory. He had a gift for storytelling. He was brilliant, understood humanity really well, and loved to tell stories. And he picked up sayings along the way that he knew when to use them and when to sprinkle them in. And so the idea of the story of the book is a combination of his stories, life experiences with him, and how his stories translated into real life action, and a lot of his sayings, because his sayings were really helpful. And you know the thing about sayings, like proverbs in wisdom literature, in the scriptures and stuff. Proverbs are sentences or aphorisms, like from Nietzsche. Aphorisms, short sayings, package long form ideas into usable, quick reminder, kind of shorthand versions of important ideas. And my dad had lots of them. And people that knew dad, and there were a lot of them, and people that have heard stories about my dad, even more people have often said, somebody should write this stuff down. You should tell the story of your dad. Somebody should tell the story of this guy, because he was a remarkable person, impacted so many lives. And my mom was awesome as well. I was so fortunate in the parents that I was blessed with. My brother and I talk about that on a regular basis. And just living with them was a mat is like a PhD in how to live life to its fullest. And we aspire to the same thing. With, for better or for worse, other people have to decide how good we're doing there. But I love telling stories about dad. I love remembering things about dad. I love telling the things he said, saying, and with mom and with Chuck, my brother, growing up, and all the different things we did. And so each week, I'm writing these short chapters, and it's either one of his sayings or a story he would tell or an experience that we had that reflects the impact of his philosophy on how we lived our lives growing up. And the name of the book is called $5 in the World. And if you go back to the first episode or the first session of this YouTube channel, I explained why I called it that. And I think it really encapsulates the reason I think this book project's worthwhile, because life's difficult, life's unpredictable, life can be unfair, life can be challenging, life can be amazing. It can be all kinds of things. And a lot of it has to do with what's our mindset about it, what's our attitude about it, what actions do we take and not take. And dad showed by a lifetime that if you go for it and you're willing, as he put it, willing to pay the price and drive for things on purpose, a lot of good things happen. And it's worth it. It's worth the struggle. It's worth the risk. It's worth the loss, because the gain is even better. And all along the way, you're picking up experiences, you're picking up stories, you're picking up memories, you're changing lives, you're showing love, you're receiving love. He just saw it. He wanted all. He lived fully. He wanted. He just wanted to give, and he wanted to receive in equal as much as possible in all the good ways. And earlier in his life, he tried to take, and then later on, he learned to give. And it was just, it was my good fortune, my blessing, that I didn't know him. I wasn't born until after he'd made that turn from being pretty self-centered and self-indulgent to being pretty generous and pretty loving. And I give thanks all the time that was the timing of things. And So, with all that said, the chapter I've got queued up for today is called You Become What You Think About. And as I read it, you'll understand why I called it that and where that expression came from. It's one of his expressions. I don't think he made it up, but he used it a lot. And that's what I want to talk about today. It's called You Become What You Think About. So, with that all said, I'm going to start reading it right now. Humans think about thinking. Earliest writings include pieces theorized about people and their ideas, how we get them, and how they impact our lives. The Egyptian Sabbat, that means the teachings, date back to 2800 BC. This collection of sayings taught Egyptians about morality and decision making. It would fall under the category what we call wisdom literature or proverbial writing. Benjamin Franklin's Poor Richard's Almanac provided common sense observation and advice for people trying to live well during the Revolutionary War period and the colonial times here in the United States. The 19th century saw this kind of literature blossom into a genre of literature and teaching. More modern writers include Dale Carnegie, Norman Vincent Peale, Earl Nightingale, and my dad's go-to writer, Napoleon Hill. My dad always kept a copy of Hill's classic Think and Grow Rich nearby. He always had the book in his overnight bag. He had another copy in his nightstand. He had a copy at his office. The staying power of this book remains remarkable. It continues to sell in large numbers. The book, published in 1937, ranks as the sixth best-selling business book of all time per Business Week magazine. It remains influential today. In 2017, they even made a docudrama based on the book and the life of Napoleon Hill. It's still available on the streaming services. Confession here, I haven't watched it yet, but I plan to. My dad believed in several of the key concepts of this book. He knew that setting goals and putting them in writing made the likelihood of their achievement much higher. The key insight of Hill's revolved around our thought life. One of the few things we actually control in this life is what we think about. He proposed that we can direct our thoughts and choose the objects and subjects of our focus. My dad practiced these and many of the other 13 steps described in the book. He desired to teach us the same principles by what he told us and what he showed us by his own practices. One daily reminder of this precept was a 3x5 card taped to each bathroom mirror in the house. In red letters on white paper, it read, You become what you think about. Every time we looked into the mirror, we saw this not so subtle reminder to mind our thoughts. What I tell myself determines the quality of my experiences, my day, my life. Dad's firm acceptance of this concept goes a long ways towards understanding why he spoke to us in positive terms, used influence instead of authority to guide us, and worked on refining the language we use in talking to or at each other. He told us that the mind is one thing nobody should ever be able to take away from you. I don't think Dad read Viktor Frankl's seminal work, Man's Search for Meaning. I do know that he would have agreed with the thesis, everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. Frankl wrote this after surviving 3 years in the Nazi concentration camp system during World War II. He survived the war and went on to have a career in psychology and psychiatry and ended up writing several influential books about how our mind works and how we can apply it to our daily living. But to have that mind, he learned that in the concentration camps, that if they could take everything away from a person, but they couldn't tell him how to think and how to feel. And he built a whole philosophy and theory around all that. And it's that kind of thing, like I said, that my dad would have agreed with wholeheartedly. Dad demonstrated time and again that amazing things happen when you set your mind on something and your actions align with that desire. While he always left room for God's sovereignty in these pursuits, you can see the chapter on Thy Will Be Done, he knew that we had a role to play in shaping of our lives. The thing about this that never ceased to amaze him was the mind's capacity for conceiving of ways to get things done. The creative process is not reserved for artwork alone. It impacts everything we think about. It is for this reason that care should be taken in our thought life. Dad knew, and I learned as well, that the mind will deliver on its directions, even when the outcomes can be disastrous. We both went through periods of substance abuse and self indulgent living. We pursued those lifestyle choices with a determination that proved the point. You will become what you think about. The way out of these kind of spirals is the same as the way into them: mindset and God's will. A shift in thinking will lead to a shift in behavior. The focus required for business success can also lead to business problems if the drive is in a mistaken direction. Every business person I know has stories of both outcomes and will credit the single mindedness as the key factor. Wisdom literature is full of writings about the power of focus, commitment, and a sense of direction. I believe Dad understood these dynamics well before he received the language to describe the process from Hill's book. It is empowering to find the words and concepts that provide clarity for something you've sensed all along. Dad certainly embraced this and was generous in sharing the ideas with others. As persuasive as Dad could be, and as determined as he was to help others grasp the possibilities of a fulfilling life, he would interact with some people along the way who just didn't adopt this line of thinking. These people truly baffled him. They would be the subject of our discussions. He would relive the conversations like a coach, breaking down game film after a loss. He'd ask me or my brother about other ways he could frame the issues, talk about better ways to reach that person. For the hundreds of people Dad impacted over the years, the relative handful of those who didn't respond would linger in his mind like an unsolved mystery. I know that his efforts were not wasted on my brother or me. I understand that what I think of myself, others, opportunities, and circumstances will be the key factor in not only how it will turn out, but in how I will experience it. This is the element many people overlook: the experiencing of life, the feeling of life. How I frame an experience in my thinking largely determines the quality of the experience, more so than the material outcome. Look around you. Look at your own life. Can you tell from a person's countenance, their demeanor, their conversation, how they think about themselves in life? I know we can. It is worth considering the possibility that the way we feel is less about what others it is worth considering the possibility that the way we feel is less about what others have done or what we go through each day than it is about how we think about those things in ourselves. Because of this, take due care with your thoughts, because you will become what you think about. So that's the outline of the chapter based on that saying that was in our bathroom mirrors all my life growing up. You become what you think about. And it applies in so many different directions, right? It can be for goal setting. If you think of yourself as a successful business person and you think of ways to be successful, you will. If you think of yourself as being a doctor someday, your mind will just keep cooking up ways to pursue that goal. If you think of yourself as being sober, you're going to live sober. If you think of yourself as a party animal, you're going to be a party animal. And on it goes. Scripture contends this is true. Philosophers contend this is true. The mindset experts, psychiatrists, psychologists, most everybody, there are exceptions to every rule, but most everybody will agree ultimately that you become what you think about. Now, here's the thing I have noticed. There's a lot of people that think it's more important how you feel about something than how you think about something. They think the driving force is your feelings. Follow your heart. There's some value to that, but I ultimately think, and I think history proves out, and so does most things, that it's your thought life should drive your feelings. Your feelings are kind of reactive. Those just come. Emotions just are triggered, right? We even use that expression. If something happens, we have a feeling. Our thoughts step in and process the feeling. Our thought steps in and decides how are we going to categorize what just happened. Our thoughts are what give meaning to the feeling. And once the feeling has meaning, then it becomes integrated into how we behave, right? So it's really critical to command that, to have self-regulation, to think about what you think about so that you are not always reactive. You're active. You want to be autonomous. You want to be able to to function in a way that you want to function, to go in the direction of your best outcome possibilities, not be bounced around by shifting circumstances, random thoughts, powerful emotions. You want to be able to guide your path with intention and purposefulness. And that's where the thought life comes into play. Napoleon Hill and so many others argued that you really do direct your thoughts. I know a lot of people that think thoughts just kind of come and whatever pops in their head, they have to deal with it. That it's sort of they're just a receptor, like a radio receiver. And Hill and others, the scriptures for that matter, will argue that we're actually more like a transmitter. We're actually the generator of the idea. And it's up to us to cultivate and to grow and nurture the thoughts that we really want to use and that really serve us once we've tested them and found them to be true. And that's an ongoing process too. That's that ongoing searching and fearless moral inventory that we should be doing on an ongoing basis. But as long as we feel comfortable and confident that our thoughts are accurate, they're on track, they're in alignment with our beliefs, they're in alignment with our goals, they're in alignment with morality, then we should continue to pursue them and let them guide our activity, let them guide our reactions, let them guide our proactive movements too. And it's up to us to be a good steward of this mind God has given each one of us. Mind is a very powerful thing. It can do everything good that's ever happened has come from somebody's ideas, followed by their actions. Every horrible thing that's happened has started with somebody's ideas and their actions that followed. So keep that and everything in between. Whether you get up on time for an appointment or not, it's your thought first, then your body responds. If you're going to lash out at somebody because they cut you off in traffic, it starts with a feeling, it's processed by your thought. The thought decides how you're going to respond to that. And you can make up your own list. It's really everything. It's essential. I am thankful beyond words that my dad came up with this, the idea. Just pop that up on the mirror. It's just like you just see it every day because you're in the bathroom, every day, more than once a day, looking in the mirror, getting ready, doing whatever. And there it was. And it's stuck with me from my whole life. It's something I've really leaned into. And I know that my life works best when I embrace that truth and when I live accordingly. This idea of alignment, what I think, what I feel, what I do, and what is my value system. And when those four things are aligned, powerful things will happen. And like I say, it's critical to align all of that to something worthy, because you can align it to something wicked even, and you'll get there. Wherever you go, it'll go. So be careful with it, and be thankful for it, and then make the most of it. Think about what you think about, and go ahead and dare to believe that you can direct your thoughts. You're not passive in that regard. You don't have to be. That's what my dad's experience has taught me, and that's what my own life has taught me as well. I hope this helps. I would love to see your comments when you have a chance to listen to this. Please like and share the channel. Invite others to subscribe. It's free. It's easy. It's just really a kind of click of a button, and then you're in there. There's 12 subscribers now. I'd love to have more, just for more input, more reach. But I value each and every one. I would be on here if there was zero. But I'm so glad there's those of you who are here, and you've always been so supportive, and your input's so valuable, and so is your encouragement. So thanks again for being here. I probably won't be here next week because we're going on a family vacation starting tomorrow, and we'll be gone all next week. But if I can find the time, I will be working on some notes and things. I might just try and jump on here next Friday and do this. I'll give you advance notice, and so you can plan on it. But one way or the other, again, thank you for everything. I love you guys. And I'll talk to you again next time. Bye for now.